Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast on the Class. Breakfast on the Class is dedicated in loving memory of Nathan Hedeya's mother, Carol Mahler. Sponsored by Jack Zabidi and family. Breakfast on the Class is also sponsored by Avi Oster, dedicated in honor of his wife, Joel Maslaton Oster, Yael Bat Rachel. Azaku Baruch. Breakfast on the Class is dedicated in celebration of the marriage of Yakira and Jonathan. Mabruk, Mazal Tov, and congratulations from the Horn, Darwish, and Klein families. Shabbat Shalom. The week of Kol Bru is dedicated by Avihai Y. Daniel, and as well by David E. Ash in honor of you and your substantial capacity to do good today and every day. My friends, we find a magnificent Gemara which I think illustrates something very special in our parasha. The Gemara relates that Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi was walking with the marketplace with Eliyahu Hanavi. You know, it's an amazing thing that these Gemarot talk about how the Amoraim, the rabbis of the Talmud, they were in tune, they were connected with Eliyahu Hanavi, and there are times when they have conversations with him, and those conversations are recorded. Some of them are very, very famous. Some of the conversations are very, very famous, and the lessons that we learn from those conversations with Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi and Eliyahu Hanavi and others and Eliyahu Hanavi are amazing. One of the famous stories that we have with Eliyahu Hanavi was that they asked Eliyahu Hanavi, Zachu Latov, they asked him, who in the marketplace, is there anyone here that's going to Olam Haba, that has a portion in the world to come? Yeah? Eliyahu Hanavi is looking, he doesn't see anyone, yani. Until finally he sees two guys, and these two guys, he says, those two people. They go running up to the two people to see who they are, what they do, why they merited Olam Haba. And they tell Eliyahu Hanavi, well, you know, we work all the time, but we come to the marketplace and we tell jokes, you know, we juggle, we make people laugh, we make people smile. And those people, Eliyahu Hanavi, we said, were the ones that have a guaranteed portion in Olam Haba. So we learned many lessons from the conversations that Eliyahu Hanavi had with the great rabbis of the past. We learned the importance of being someone who makes other people smile. However, I want to relate to you a different conversation, a conversation that perhaps is not as common. Eliyahu Hanavi says to Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, he says, come with me, we're looking through the shuk, they're in the marketplace. All of a sudden, they turn a corner, they see there's a long line outside of a store. And everyone on the line is arguing, they're yelling, they're screaming, I was here first, you cut me on the line, what are you doing, how could you do this to me? They're arguing, screaming, and what are they buying? What are they buying? Eliyahu Hanavi shows them, he says, what are they buying? They're buying the meat of Kelev Saruah, the meat of a putrid, of a disgusting, a smelly dog. And not only are they buying the meat of a dog, the people, these Jews waiting in the marketplace, the price of the meat is exorbitant, $150 a pound, $200 a pound. Round the corner, he takes the guy to the Yeshua ben Levi, turns the corner, there's another guy there selling, you know, lamb chops, he's selling, you know, veal, and the price is $30 a pound. Not a single person waiting outside the store. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi asked Eliyahu Hanavi, he says, what is this? What's going on here? What he's really asking is, what are you teaching me? Eliyahu Hanavi says, you have this exact scenario in the human experience as well, where you have people who stand waiting online for Kelev Saruach, something that you're not allowed to eat. Something that'll make you sick. It's not good for you. And not only that, you're paying a very high price for it. Whereas other things that are very positive, that are beautiful, are sitting here in the store, they're accessible, it's very easy, it's very cheap, and yet, no one's there to buy. Mind you, what is this? What is this Kelev Saruah? What is this? The meat of a smelly dog? That, he says, is the attribute of ga'ava, of arrogance, of needing to be important, of needing to have people look at you and look up to you, to wow, look at this guy, he's so this, he's so rich, he's so happy, he's so successful, he's so beautiful, he's so this, he's so that. That need, that's basar Kelev Saruach. The Torah is filled with explanations, with descriptions of how HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at someone who has arrogance in him. To'avat Adonai kol go'alev. It's an abomination to God, a person who has an uplifted heart. Right? Lev nishbar v'nitkeh, on the other hand, anava, a person whose heart is broken, his head is lowered, a person who lives like that, Elohim lo tivzeh. God will not allow it to be embarrassed. God will not embarrass him. Fascinating, right? So you see that God wants the person who lives a life of simplicity, who's not always running to get everyone's approval, doesn't always want everyone to look at him. God says, this is the guy, this is so special, this is wonderful, and no one's shopping in that store. The shop of Ga'ava, he says, has a line out the door. And the price of Ga'ava is exorbitant. How much does it cost? You want everyone to look at you. How much does your watch need to cost? They should look at your watch. How much does your car need to cost? How much you need to spend on the wedding? How much do you need to spend on the vacation? You went on the vacation? Which room did you have to book for your family? All these things. It's very expensive. And what did you wind up with after you spent all that money? Basar kelef saruach. Something that's not a positive thing. You don't need people looking at your life. You don't need people jealous of you. You don't need to show that off. One of the big challenges that we face in an affluent community, and I say affluent, in many ways, our community, not here in the city, but almost anywhere you go, much of the Jewish community, by the standard of the world, is affluent. Even if you think you're a run-of-the-mill guy, and you're just sending your kids to school, and you're buying kosher meat, and you're just a simple Jewish person living their life, is among the highest earners in the United States, amongst the top percent of the United States, a regular run-of-the-mill guy, by the way. Living in Baltimore, living in Denver, living in Chicago. You're doing better than most of the people in America. And the Torah tells us that one of the things that is so important is Pinu Lachem Tzafona, to turn to the north. The rabbis explain that the word Tzafona can mean north, but Tzafun, on the night of the Seder, what is Tzafun? When you take the Afikoman, and what do you do with it? You hide it. Pinu Lachem, turn Tzafona, to a place where things are hidden. Oy, what would have been if Yosef did not show off his beautiful cloak? What would have been if the talk that he had with them was not about him being the ruler over them? What would have been? My friends, you look at this week's parasha and you experience this idea to the max. I'll maybe draw your attention for 1 second to a different part, not the beginning of the parasha. Yosef HaSadiq is sold. Yosef HaSadiq at that time is a young boy. The pasuk says, "V'hu na'ar." In many ways, he's acting like a child. That's what Chazal explained to us. He's osek b'ma'aseh na'arut. He's young. He's a teenager. Okay? Misalsil b'sa'aro. He's brushing his hair. He's looking in the mirror. Again, not that there's anything wrong, with what he's doing, but he's a little bit immature at this stage of his life. Okay? And again, when we talk about the Shivatim, when we talk about the Torah, Yaakov Avinu, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, we can never even begin to imagine who they are. These were malachim. The Torah is only giving you an explanation of feeling according to their level that something was beneath where they were holding. Only according to their level. For us, they were the greatest tzaddikim ever. Okay? But the Torah is still teaching you this message. And it's an interesting thing. The story of Potiphar and Potiphar's wife. Why does she grab Yosef? Because she notices how beautiful he is. My friends, this idea that when something is out in the open, it literally paints a target on its chest is an unfortunate truism of every single day of our life. You're at work and you're telling everyone what a good job you did. What did you just announce to everybody unwittingly? Find a way to tear me down. You tell everyone how smart the business move that you just did was. What did you just wake up in every person who heard? I'm going to find out what the guy did wrong. I'm going to show him he's not so clever. Even people, by the way, in the boardroom that you never had beef with, all of a sudden they're questioning every move you did. Why? Because you put yourself out there as the most beautiful creature, as the smartest creature. Yosef HaTzadik, unfortunately, at that stage, he was a slave already. He was already separated from his family. And yet, the Sfarim teach us that when he was in the house of Potiphera, right, it was so noticeable how beautiful he was, that she came to him and asked him to do the sin with her. It resulted in him being locked in prison, thrown into a pit, and they threw away the key. These ideas in Bereshit, it's important to understand, are not only about the Avot, they're teaching us tremendous lessons for life. In fact, one of the things I often refer to is the first Rashi in Sefer Bereshit. Rashi asks, when the Pasuk begins, right in the beginning of the Torah, how come in a book of laws, a book which is supposed to teach you how to live your life, how come we don't start with the first mitzvah? HaChodesh hazeh lachem. That's where the Torah should begin. With the first mitzvah given to the Jewish people, which is the mitzvah of sanctifying the new moon, Kiddush HaChodesh. That's how we should start. And Rashi answers, the answer he answers, to explain that the Jewish people's right, their birthright to the land of Israel, is tied up in the fact that it was given to them by God, and God created the world. He made the world, He can do whatever He wants with it. That's one answer that Rashi is giving. But I think there's a second concept over here. Okay? There's a second idea that's being taught to us in Sefer Bereshit. And that is that our Gemara tells us, Yafeh sichatan shel avdei avot, greater is the idle chatter of the servants of our avot, of Eliezer, mitoratan shel banim, from the Torah of their children and grandchildren. Look at how much time is dedicated in the Torah to Eliezer talking to Betuel, to Lavan. Pirsukim after Pirsukim. I didn't get in there. I'm not in the Torah. I teach you a lot of Torah. Greater is the idle chatter of the servants of our avot. That's how great the avot was. That even their servants are greater than we could ever be. Okay? But the point is, it's not just recording Eliezer talking about the weather. It's that what we learn from these stories is paramount for how we live as a Jew. And if that's true about the avadim of the avot, how much more so about the avot, the shivatim themselves. So every story in Bereshit is designed to teach a Jew how to live. From Avraham Avinu, we learn about the excitement to do a mitzvah, even when it hurts, even when it's difficult. We learn about the capacity to do chesed with the most open of hands. From Yitzhak, we learn the trait, the conversation of dedication, of a person being dedicated to doing the right thing. From Yaakov Avinu, we learn so many different lessons about emet, about how to try and live your life, how to be positive. From the conversation with Paro, many different lessons. But each one of these conversations is recorded so that we should learn a tremendous lesson. My friends, ultimately, what do we see? 2 times Yosef, unfortunately, is living in a way where he's catching the attention of all those around him. And both times, the result of it is that he finds himself in a pit. Do you ever notice that? That 2 times in the same parasha, Yosef is thrown in a pit. Everyone thinks of the first one. When they throw him in jail, where is he? He's in a bor. He's in a pit. How do I know that? Because the pasuk says, "Vayiritzuhu min habor." They took him out of the pit. So he's in prison, but he's in a pit. Why is he in a pit? There's something here, my friends, which is allegorical. You try and raise yourself above people, what happens? The person is placed not even just below the person, but below the surface of the earth. Why was it not enough for them to stick him in a cell? Because then you wouldn't have seen this message. The solution to hitnaseut, to raising oneself above, is a person being put down. We read in the Nevuah of Chana that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what does He do? Mashpil ge'im. Someone who's ge'eh, what does Hashem do with them? He casts them down. But He doesn't just cast them down to be at the same level as everyone that they were looking down upon before. He takes them lower than those people. And unfortunately, there's many people in this world who have zero self-confidence, zero opinion of themselves, right? If you have to be lower than a person who has zero self-confidence, where's the only place you could go? Under the ground, into a pit. These lessons, my friends, they have to stay with us. What does it look like to live a life when you're not trying to gain attention? You see people all the time that their life revolves around getting attention. And there's different kinds of attention. There's positive attention, There's negative attention. But positive and negative attention, we learn when we have kids, stems from the same place. Where does it come from? Where does it come from? Right? You think if you want attention, you want people to look at you, you want people to think good of you. Why would you also want negative attention? It's doing, one would think, the exact opposite of what you want when you're getting positive attention, right? And the answer is, and this is remarkable, there is a more basic, a more primal element to attention than the positivity associated with it. Attention, whether it's positive or negative, achieves, look at me. Notice me. I don't care if the reason why you're going to notice me is because I've done something good and you think good of me, or if I've done something bad and you think bad of me, but you noticed me. You see it sometimes, unfortunately, in the workplace. A person tries to help, you ignore them. What do? Now they're tanking your project. Why? Because you didn't notice me before when I was trying to do good. Now you'll notice me. I'll figure everything wrong with your project. I'll sabotage it. I won't respond to the emails. I won't give you the contacts you need. Why? Now you'll notice me. Now you'll see. Now you'll see that I'm important. One of the most incredible and important lessons in this is that it turns out that if you're in a workplace and you want to ensure that you don't encounter friction, a lot of people tell me, I have such friction at work, I don't know what to do. I say to them, well, have you spent the time and the effort to make sure that everyone in the office, above you and below you, feels that you notice them? Go ask them their opinion. Go elicit their help. The same guy who's going to get in your way in the meeting, if you went to him and you say, look, I have this idea, it's really great, but I need your help to push it through. Because this is why it's good for me and this is why it's good for you. You know, I'm going to go in that meeting there. I need some positive people. I need some backing because I can't do it by myself. The person says, oh, you need me? No problem. And then when you bring up your point, the guy says it's a good idea. All it takes is the guy says it's a good idea. You start gaining consensus in that room. What did it take? The person should feel that you need him and you noticed him. So the question everyone has to answer is, do you want to be in a pit? Or do you want to be in a place where people, all it takes is just seeing the people. It's a remarkable concept. And it's so simple and it's so obvious. And yet, in the world around us, nobody shops in the Anava store. Who works harder and harder in their life to be noticed less and less? Who does that? Yes, exactly. But he's not one of us, right? There's an expression in the Gemara that says there's certain mitzvot that a person should not do. There's a nice thing, don't do it. Why? Mishum yuhara. Yuhara means ga'ava. This is a mitzvah, it's a very high level, this mitzvah. You're going to do that mitzvah, don't do it. You know why? Because people will think ga'ava. Mishum yuhara. Many times you find it. But that's a powerful thing. You know, that we're telling you not to do the right thing. Not to do something that's holier. You know? Why? Because yuhara. You're drawing attention to yourself. You're making people think. You might think of yourself in a very high way. And we have to stay away from that. The culture of our world today is built in the exact opposite way. You know, someone asked me a long time ago, they said, Rabbi, I want to buy, I know you do all these classes online. I want to buy for you, I think he's probably listening now, this guy in London. I want to buy for you the website, RabbiShlomoFarhi.com. You should have that, you should own that website. I said, thank you very much, but no thank you. He said, why? I said, it's very, very important to me that people understand that what I'm teaching actually has nothing to do with me. If I give a good class, the class is not good because of me. Why is the class good? Because imagine, what's the most expensive watch today? Who knows? Anyone know what the expensive watch? Sorry? Patek Philippe. Let's say someone gives me 100 Patek Philippe watches. Anyway, I go to a fair, I've got the big Patek Philippe stand, and all these rich guys are coming to me. I'm thinking, wow, look, what a salesman. Look at me, smooth talker. Right, it must be my suit. It's not your suit. It's not your smooth talker. You could be a dib, you could be an idiot, you could be a loser, you could be dressed. The watches are selling themselves. The words of Torah, they sell themselves. Rabbi Shlomo Farhi died. This is not me. I'm not, what's the guy's name? Tony Robbins. I'm not, he's a lovely guy, amazing. Amazing guy, by the way. I have no problems. This is a guy who's a life coach. Where does he get his ideas from? His boich, like they say. His belly. That's he comes up with, makes up his own things. But that also means it could be wrong. I'm not going to make up anything. I'm just sharing the Torah. It's older than anybody. It comes from God. Stellar reputation. I'm selling Patek Philippe watches. That's it. You just have to not get in the way. So I don't want it to be. And I always try, if I can, to quote an idea where it's coming from. Not just because, there's a halakha that says, anyone that says a piece of Torah, B'Shem Omro, in the name of the one that said it, Mevi Geula L'Olam, bring Mashiach. Not only because when you say over a Dvar Torah in the name of the one that said it, you bring Mashiach. Not only because of that. But so that people should understand that the wisdom that we share, it's not mine. I got it from the Khatam Sofer. I got it from Chamuvadia. Where'd they get it from? But in our world today, no. Build your own brand. You need to become like an influencer. And then, you need to have all the followers that are following you. It's very important. It's about you. The Torah is telling you exactly the opposite. There's a store that sells the best meat and no one wants to buy anava. And the funny thing is, what costs more? The smelly dog meat is very expensive. To get people to look at you, it's very expensive. It costs a lot to impress people. But not only that, not only does it cost a lot to impress people, you pay a very heavy price when that's how you live your life. And you start to be happy only when other people, you're giving away the power of whether or not you have a good day or whether or not you're feeling confident. You're giving that away to other people. You're relying on the way they look at you for your own self-confidence. A person who shops in the Anav store, what does it cost? How much does the Anav watch cost? Nothing. You don't even need a watch. What does it cost if you're not trying to impress somebody? Nothing. They're giving it away for free, but no one wants to buy. Eliyahu Navi takes Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi and he shows him this great secret of our world. And I think to myself, and this will end, that there's so many things like this. So many beautiful midot that people just don't chase. And the store is open, and there's no line, and in front of the store that sells the things that will kill you, that will ruin your life, and ruin your marriage, and destroy your children, and take all your money, and eat up your energy, and eat up your time, and chew up and spit out your life. Somehow those stores have big lines in front of them. If that's not the most beautiful, insightful interpretation of the shuk of life, of the marketplace of life today, it's like we're not spending enough time on social media as a human race, that they need to now move us from spending 75 hours a day on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and TikTok. Instead, all this time you're spending online and in front of your phone, it's not enough. We need to stick you in the metaverse. In Hebrew, the spelling for meta is mem taf hey, which means meta, she dead. That is a dead universe where you don't interact with the world at all. Right? Is there a difference between a person who's addicted to life online and to a person who sits at the bottom of a pit 6 feet under in a coffin? Both of them are not interacting with the world. Yeah, Annie. But everyone wants to shop in that store. It's the biggest marketplace in the world. Today's Black Friday. Yishtabach Shemo. Yesterday, my daughter found a credit card in Brooklyn. And I put it on my page. If anyone knows who this person is, their credit cards misses them. And someone sent me a message saying her husband is so happy that she lost the credit card right before Black Friday. Yeah, Annie, how many things do we need to buy that we don't need? We'll end with that line. The famous line. We spend money we don't have to buy things we don't want to impress people who don't care about us. Hashem should bless us to learn the lessons of Yosef. And I think at the end of Yosef's trajectory, you know when Yosef becomes Yosef? After saying, look at me and my coat and my beauty and my hair and my eyelashes, look at me. The brothers come, and what does the pasuk say? Vehem lo hikiruhu. And they did not recognize him. May Hashem bless us to take that journey. Baruch Adonai Le'olam.